Hi, everybody. We're a little bit later than our typical Friday Facebook Live, but here we are. I've got the girls in my lap. We had to wait for Rory to calm down. She was racing around the back office. Um, I know I was talking to Mike a little bit about Rory this morning, but here she is, Mike. And joining me today is Mike Justice from Stella Chewy's. He is a brand rep from Stella Chewy's, and so I asked him to join us today to talk a little bit more about the Stella Chewy's line, which we have carried for a very long time in our store, and we absolutely love Stella Chewy's. And of course, Stella Chewy sponsored our September subscription box. So I talked to them about the subscription boxes earlier this week when we revealed what September's subscription box would be. But I wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit more about the line and give our followers some more information about the products that we carry here from Stella Chewy's and some new innovation from what you guys have going on. So I guess we'll start out with kind of some history of Stella Chewy's. I talked a little bit about Marie Moody and how she started Stella Chewy's. But if you'll elaborate a little bit more, maybe talk a little bit about Stella Chewy and what led to her inspiration to start the company.
Right. Well, Marie Moody adopted Stella and Chewy. And when she adopted Chewy had some major health issues, and which led her into the kitchen to actually develop and come out with a raw diet. So she kind of just put together all kind of different varieties of some meats and some organic fruits, organic veggies and things to help Chewy overcome some of the medical conditions that he was having at that time. Just skin and coat issues, just severe allergies, anything you can name, Chewy had it. So.
Yeah, and I know the diet really helped. Her experience was the diet really helped her pets. And then, as I understand it, she was living in New York City. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And as I understand it, she started making the diet and selling it, but making it and freezing it and doing everything in her New York home.
Correct. At that time, yeah, she was making it. And then she started, as she grew, she needed to use a co-packer at that time. And would deliver this stuff to like 4, 5, 6 chest freezers in her Manhattan apartment. And she'd go catch a taxi cab to make deliveries to the independent pet stores in the neighborhood. And it just kind of grew out from there.
That is amazing. And while I know that Stella Chewy's is rooted in the frozen pet food world, of course, we do carry Stella Chewy's frozen raw. It really grew very fast with freeze-dried. And so you guys do freeze-dried very well. And many of our customers will come in and be like, I don't know what's in that freeze-dried, but it's amazing the way my picky pet who used to pick through their kibble or used to pick through this or that just gobbles it up once you put Stella Chewy's freeze-dried on top of it.
Right.
And so I've got some of those different examples here. So I've got things like little super blends, the meal mixers.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about this product.
Well, freeze-dried, just to touch on freeze-dried real quick so people understand what freeze-dried is and touching on it is it's basically, it's the same as what our frozen is. It's put in this big freeze-dryer that looks like a big submarine tank. And it's pretty much, it takes about a 22-hour process to take the moisture out and develops into a freeze-dried product. A lot of people feel like, there's no heat put to it whatsoever. So you're not cooking out any of the benefits of the raw. So.
And it's a very cold process.
Correct. Very cold. And the water that's been removed is reused in another area. So it's not any kind of waste or anything like that. So.
And we should note that even though Stella Chewy's originated in New York City, it did move and its home now is in Wisconsin.
Correct. Oak Creek, Wisconsin. And we just announced approximately 2 weeks ago that we are adding on to our plant so we can continue to come out with innovations and things and our continued growth in the kibble category.
Yeah, and kibble is very new for you guys. I know that I've used some of your kibble and fed that to several of my dogs, and they gobble it up. So we'll get on to some of the other products. You know, you guys have come out with a lot of innovation recently. One of my favorites is the Tetra Packs with bone broth in it.
Correct.
And these are broth toppers for dogs, and I assume you could use it for cats as well because it's just bone broth.
Correct. Yes.
But these are wonderful for adding bone broth to your pet's diet. And one of the things that we always talk about here is the benefits of adding moisture to your pet's diet, whether it is freeze-dried, which should always be rehydrated, or kibble, which should, of course, always be hydrated as well. And I think that's the misnomer is people think if they're feeding kibble, they don't need to wet it.
Right.
And so we try to harp upon that conversation here that adding moisture to your pet's diet is necessary no matter what you're feeding.
Correct. Well, and that's the thing. So many dogs, they'll eat, they love kibble, and then a lot of pet parents out here, you know, they'll feed it and don't realize that they're not paying attention to their little one, may not be drinking enough water. So yes, it's highly recommended. Same way with the freeze-dried, rehydrating a freeze-dried, any kind of a good bone broth or a goat's milk. I mean, it becomes puppy crack to them. So, and all the benefits, nutritional benefits, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Well, and one of the other new products that I love that you guys came out with is this magical dinner dust. And this is a new flavor in the magical dinner dust. What's steak and bacon.
Correct.
And so we'll talk a little bit more about some bacon coming into your line. But this, I think, is a great product for your really picky pets who maybe are getting sick of their kibble or just pick around their kibble. You can moisten this, put it over the top of their kibble, add the moisture, and stir it up. And this adds a nice coating to the kibble that you're giving.
Correct. Yeah, and we launched that last year in a beef and chicken formula, and we just recently added duck and bacon formula. And what's nice about that is if someone's happy with the kibble they're using, they can always use the dust to kind of give it some different flavors and almost make their own raw coated kibble. So
yeah, very, very cool. And of course, you guys have one of the other great things about your frozen and your freeze-dried here is your puppy line, your Perfectly Puppy.
Yes, and we launched our Perfectly Puppy freeze-dried. That was all an idea to try to introduce puppy owners into the raw category. And puppy, raw diets seem to scare a lot of people, getting them over to a freezer. So the freeze-dried is a little more inviting for them to come into the raw category. Use it as a treat, scrunch up a couple little patties over the puppy kibble they may be feeding, something to kind of introduce them and get them over into the raw category. Because eventually the benefits are in the freezer, as we both know, in the raw diet.
Well, okay, when I first got Rory, the way we introduced her to, now she eats a raw diet now, but the way we introduced her to it was to start her out on Stella and Chewy's freeze-dried, and it definitely helped her transition up, and now she's on raw only with goat's milk added, but she does very well with it and gobbles it right up, and she loves the freeze-dried. And still, during the day when I'm here at work, she'll get a freeze-dried lunch.
Right.
She goes crazy. She is ready to see it come in her bowl.
Oh, goodness.
Well, let's talk a little bit more. You can't see it as well from here, but maybe from this angle is better. But I have the cat products out.
Right.
So one of your newest things are your Tetra Packs for cats. This is the pate. I should have grabbed one that had morsels in it as well.
Yes.
But talk a little bit about where your Tetra Packs are made and how they're made.
Yeah, and then touching back on the dog and cat, both our dog and cat Tetra Packs are made in a plant up in Wisconsin. It is a co-pack product. However, it is made in a human-grade facility. So the facility that packages this for us makes, I can't name the company, but makes a small batch kettle cooked soups for another company. So
it's a very cool thing. I always love knowing where the food is made, and when you know that it's made in a human grade facility, you know the standards are there, the higher standards for sure.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about your ingredient sourcing. A lot of people will come in and say they want all organic or want certified organic. Talk about the ingredients that are in Stella and Chewy's products.
Well, one of the biggest things, and for myself, being perfectly honest, there's I've just learned this of recent, probably in the last 3 or 4 months since I've been with this company, like grass-fed products, your red meats like your lamb or beef products. Well, we are a grass-fed, grass-finished company. A lot of companies will claim grass-fed, and then last 60 or 90 days, they're kind of beefed up with some grains and things. But we are a grass-fed, grass-finished company, cage-free on all wing bird type products, and wild-caught on any type of fish. And sourcing from countries, basically the venison and lambs coming from New Zealand primarily, beef, chicken, 99.9% continental U.S. Duck and rabbit is actually sourced out of Europe. So, and Europe has some very high standards for manufacturing practices, as we both know. So.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, rabbit is hard to come by
Yeah.
in the United States. Definitely, sometimes that has to come from other countries.
Absolutely. And then as far as fruits and veggies within all our ingredients, it's 100% organic fruits and organic veggies, continental U.S.
Well, and one of the things I try to talk to about customers when they want organic is what that organic certification really means and how hard it is to get, especially in the land of pet food. And that just because it doesn't have a certification on it doesn't mean that it doesn't have organic ingredients in it.
Yes.
Like Stella Chewy's has organic ingredients in it, but it doesn't have a certification simply because of what that certification entails. But it doesn't mean any less of the ingredients that go in.
Correct.
Well, we love Stella Chewy's. One other thing I wanted to talk about, because I think it's a really cool and often overlooked, are your CBD products or your hemp oil products.
Yes. Okay.
Hemp joint and the calming.
Correct.
Here. And tell us a little bit more about those. Those are fairly new products.
Correct. They were just recently launched last year. And we are, they're made in Denver, Colorado. So it's going through some high standards, safety standards and everything. Because what's happening out here amongst that industry with CBDs, as you know, a lot of people think they can just go to a CBD shop down the road somewhere at times and think they're getting just as good as what you're selling there in the store at half the price. But what it is sourcing of a lot of this stuff. And unfortunately, the sourcing of CBD now, there's some issues with it being sourced in China, basically. And
and rehydrated here in the United States.
Correct.
Correct. Mark on it, made locally, but it's not really made locally. It's sourced elsewhere.
Right. Exactly. But the company we're using out of Denver, Colorado, and everything's third-party tested. We can always get third-party testing results, and of course, we got the exact papers through the company that we're sourced through, as far as the ingredients and what's there. Like the common one is very, very good. The valerian root that's in it, the chamomile that's in there, it's water soluble. Both the hip and joint and the calming water soluble, so it digests very well. And one of the biggest things, what's coming up here? Probably New Year's, let's say, with people's fireworks and stuff.
Fireworks start going off, yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, you can't just buy calming products 4 hours before the fireworks, You really need to look at purchasing these kind of things 24 to 36, 48 hours in advance, so it gets in the animal's bloodstream, so they can kind of start getting used to it a little bit. So.
Well, and for those kind of products, I will say, I talked a little bit about my dog Mole. I know you've heard about Mole, my Mole stories.
Oh, yes.
But, Mole is on his CBD supplement as well as a treat. And I started him on it last December just because I thought maybe some of his aggression issues were coming from hip and joint issues because he has kind of a strange gait. I started him on the treat, and I didn't really notice an immediate difference, but we kept him on the treat. We just continued it because it wasn't hurting him, and I knew in some way it could be helping, but I just didn't know how much it could be helping. Well, here recently, I only work at a pet store, but remembering to take home pet products that I need are a little bit difficult some days. And so I went 2 or 3 days without him on those treats. And the aggression started ramping up, the anxiety started kicking back in. And it was amazing to me to see how much of a difference they really had made without me even really seeing, because it was such a subtle incline into the benefits. But as soon as he was without it, we suddenly saw what he's like without it. So I immediately ran up to the store and got some more because he needs them.
Well, a lot of dogs, and it's very good just with the dogs with a lot of anxiety, day-to-day anxiety. So.
Yeah. So we have a question from Christine. She is asking, how many flavor varieties do you have for cats in the pate and the morsels in the Tetra Packs?
Yes, there's 3 pates and there's 3 morsels flavors. So it's 3 of each.
And then you also have these, the pouches.
Yes, our new carnivore cravings. Yes, and that's hand shredded meat that's in those.
So these are also for cats. How many flavors are there of the
6 varieties.
6 varieties. So Christine, hopefully that answers your question. But yes, there is a fair amount of choices to rotate between. And of course, we have FreezeDried and the Magic Dust and the Kibble as well for cats, in addition to dogs. One of the unique things about your Kibble that I love is if you get the raw blend, I'm hoping people can see that, you have the freeze-dried pieces in the raw blend. So they get both the baked Kibble and the freeze-dried raw, which is just such a cool idea. I describe it kind of being like getting the Lucky Charms and marshmallows.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, like that. The cool thing about the 3.5-pound bag that you just held up there, what's nice about that, there's an equivalent with the raw coating and how many meal mixers are in there to the $8 or $9 bag of meal mixers that's on the shelf.
Yeah.
And when you equate that up to the 22-pound bag, there's an equivalent of 20 ounces of meal mixers in that bag. And you know the price of an 18-ounce meal mixer, you're looking at $30 to $33 range, what you guys are priced at. I mean, by the time you look at that, in a sense, you're getting it all in one in the Kibble. So,
and it really is very palatable. Talk a little bit about the raw coating.
Yes, it goes through a process. It's a baked process. The red bags, they're at all pets considered, are baked. And it's baked at about 196 to 200 degree temperature. Does not go over 200 degrees whatsoever. Kind of like baking cookies for 15 minutes at 350, a low process like that. So it's minimally processed. And at the end, the Kibble is cooled down before it ever gets sprayed with any of the fats and goes through a big, large sifter, in this manufacturing facility. You remember Grandma with her flour in the sifter at home. Goes through something similar to that, but like more of a industrial size. And it goes through that and it sifts it, and then it goes on down the line, and then ready for packaging at the end there. So, but it is cooled off. That's very, very key, because a lot of people, why are you putting a raw coating on a warmer, hot Kibble? Because you're cooking out some of the good benefits of raw. So no, it is the process that's cooled down before it's ever sprayed with a fat. And the fat's what I'm mentioning. If it's a chicken product, it's going to be chicken fat. It's based with whatever the meat is, because any of our products, if we say poultry free, we mean poultry free. No chicken fat, no nothing. So
yeah, and you guys have a limited ingredient line as well.
Correct.
That is a single protein source.
Single animal protein, lamb, duck, and turkey.
And then, of course, with your new essentials line, which is an extruded product, so it's not the baked Kibble, but it's an extruded Kibble. You add that into the line, and you guys really cover just about every ball game there is. Every way somebody is seeking to feed their pet, but it's all the same quality, which is what I love. So it's all from the same quality control and the same oversight and the same quality of ingredients, just in different forms.
Yes, because the essentials, it's a matter of kind of good, better, best is what we're doing with our Kibble. The good is still really good for the price category, because we're still using a grass-fed, grass-finished, cage-free, wild-caught formulations in that, weaving in a little bit of organ meat, not as much as what's in the baked, But it's the extrusion. It is a light extrusion, so it is a lower heat extrusion process at about 240, 250 degrees average. So.
Well, very cool. Well, of course, our subscription boxes this month, they're chock full of Stella Chewy. We have a cat-specific box this month with Stella Chewy's cat. And then we have the dog-specific with dog-specific Stella Chewy's. And one of the things that we haven't talked yet about, I actually didn't have a bag to pull, but it's your functional freeze-dried. So you have 4 different types of functional freeze-dried. You have digestive, immunity, skin and coat, and heart health. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you have 2 per pack. Skin and coat
and hip and joint.
Oh, and hip and joint.
So they're 5. Yes, they're 5. And what it is, there's some added benefits in each of those different, each of the different ones that Allison mentioned. There's some different ingredients in there that would set them apart from meal mixers. Because if you're not having a hip and joint problem, you don't need to get the chicken hip and joint that looks like a meal mixer with the added benefits for hip and joint, extra glucosamine control, and chicken cartilage, all the good stuff to where you get additional benefits for hip and joint. Same way with the new heart health is really phenomenal. It's a chicken and sardine formula for those that are still kind of concerned about the heart health issues that maybe some of the dogs are going through. Skin and coat's a big key thing, especially you guys being a groom shop there too, having your groomers. If they're seeing the issues and major problems, just come on out there and talk with one of the staff, and they can kind of direct you to the skin and coat, which will help.
That's great. I love the digestive one.
Yes.
With the extra digestive enzymes. Such a wonderful addition, especially if you have a dog who's prone to maybe bile throwing up, like where they, get up in the morning, haven't eaten yet, and they throw up a little bit of bile, or same thing right before dinner because they have an empty stomach. Those kind of digestive formulas sometimes help with those kind of things, just with the additional digestive enzymes. Diana is busy in here. I hope it isn't too loud over the.
No.
It's gotten really busy in here. But we love Stella Chewy's, and we have always loved Stella Chewy's in every format that we have. Let me see if anybody else has any other questions that you would like Mike or I to answer. Okay, Marty has a question.
Okay.
Do you know how long it will take to see a difference using the hip and joint product? She's talking about this product, the hip and joint.
That one? Yeah.
We can talk about both because maybe she's talking about the freeze-dried as well.
Yeah, it could be freeze-dried and/or the one with some hemp chew in there, which will help with calming and anxiety at the same time with some of the older dogs with hip and joint issues. But typically, it will take it could range anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks. It depends on the dog and their digestive system. Depends on how it really gets into their bloodstreams and gets into their body to benefit them. But it can range anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. I think larger dogs personally it takes a little longer, but it could be on up to 4 or 5 weeks at times. But it's just a benefit. Once you get it in your system, you probably need to continue with it to see the benefits continuing after that.
Yeah, that was the way it was for me with the CBD hip and joint with mole. It really took some time, and I didn't see an immediate notice. But when I turned around and looked, a month later was when I saw the notice.
Yeah, when you saw the difference. And then when you stop for a few days, you see it's not a one and done situation. Typically, it's something you have to maintain and continue with.
And one thing I would add to our audience is that, there are purposes for things like pharmaceuticals if you're using carprofen or tramadol or any of this kind of medications to treat pain that is associated with hip and joint issues. What I'd encourage you to do is while they're on that medication, start a supplemental system. So you start supplements, you start hip and joints, you start with CBD, you start with things like that, and then start to wean them off the medication so that you get the acute benefits of the pharmaceutical, but then as you wean them off of it, you've already reached therapeutic levels with the supplements. And you always use supplements as your long-term goal and let the medication be your short-term goal.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kimberly Goodman. She is saying, she's asking if she should try the skin and coat with hope Kim, I'm not sure if Hope has um, an allergy to chicken, but the skin and coat is chicken and sardine. Is that correct?
Oh, no. Skin and coat is actually beef and salmon.
Oh, okay. So maybe she can do that, Kim. Um, it's definitely worth a shot, Kim. Hope is a dog that came in through my rescue that was missing most of her fur, and she still has lots of skin and coat issues, a significant amount of skin and coat issues. So we're always trying to find what's going to be the magic fix.
Yeah. Yes.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I see your little dog.
Yeah, here's Lola. Lola wanted a real spotlight too.
And Mike and his family just recently moved to North Carolina from Georgia, so we're glad to have you a little bit closer.
Oh, yeah.
Now your dog's a North Carolina girl. She needs to get an Inspired by Chi Chi dress the next time you're up here.
Right.
So, well, is there anything else? Let's talk a little bit about your new innovations that we haven't gotten in yet, but they will be coming soon.
Well, there's a couple of things coming. We got Bacon Me Crazy Wild Weenies. And I know that's something we didn't mention, but it's a great whimsical treat, with that name and everything.
And that is something you're right. We should touch on. I did bring over some of your freeze-dried heart treats, which are
right
training treats. So if you're looking for a training treat that you can break apart if you need to for smaller dogs,
correct.
Or, have in larger pieces for larger dogs. But any kind of heart treats are really good for the heart. They have great taurine and are very healthy.
Very natural taurine. So, and we have our, like I said, Bacon Me Crazy. We have our, not sure if you guys have this in yet, but we're adding a couple of additions of flavors to our cat kibble. We're going to have a duck and a wild caught. So, of course, the duck's chicken free. I can't say poultry free. And then the wild caught is poultry free. So it's an all fish format.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We are definitely looking. I know you and I are meeting next week about potentially adding some of this innovation to our line.
Yeah, and then we have our new Craven and Bacon Bites, which is our first time getting into more of a meaty type texture treat. So that's coming soon too.
Well, your treat lines always do so well for us. We love the Stella Chewy treat, and especially the wild weenies. I don't know why on earth we could like something referred to as a weenie, but
stay tuned for October. I'm sure we'll do a happy Halloweeny.
Yes, exactly. We will. But yeah, I really want to encourage everybody who hasn't purchased their box yet this month or doesn't have it on recurring purchase, go ahead and get your purchases in there. We have them made here at the store, so if you want to swing by this weekend and pick one up, or you can conveniently order them through our website. They are on our website under subscription boxes, and you can do a one-time purchase or you can do a recurring purchase. I will say that our one-time purchase price will start going up next month, just as an incentive to get a recurring box. I wanted to let you know that. But it is a great time to get a Stella and Chewy's box and a great way to try out some of these products. The box is valued almost at $80 for both the cat and the dog, and the price is only $29.99. So you cannot beat that savings as a way to try out some of these products. Do you have any last words you'd like to share with us, Mike?
I'll just, I think these boxes are a great idea, and it gives some people an advantage to be able to try a lot of the new things that we have if they've never tried them before. And it's a little bit of everything with freeze-dried, wet, and kibble, and a bag of treats in there too. So
yeah, there's a lot of goodness in there.
And just basically with us, what we're doing with a lot of innovation, we want to be best in class in each category we get into. So as we continue to grow and expand, we'll have more offerings, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Julianne Scott from Lucia's wants to extend her hellos.
Okay. Hello.
This is you. Hi, Julianne. Good to see you on here. Well, we hope everybody has a wonderful Labor Day weekend. We will be open on Labor Day, in case anybody was worried about that. We will be here, and we will still be doing deliveries. And our delivery truck went out today, packed full of deliveries. We had a ton of deliveries today. So We are happy to deliver to you if it's inconvenient for you to get into us. Just know that that service is extended to you, and that goes for these subscription boxes as well. They are deliverable, so if you wish for us to deliver them to your doorstep, we'd be happy to do that. Right, Mayor? And Mike, I want to thank you for joining us. I know today was a partial day off for you, and I thank you for jumping on with us and talking a little bit more about
Thanks for having me. Definitely. Thank you so
you.
much.
Have a great weekend with your daughters, and we will see you next week.
Oh, absolutely. Take care. Have a great weekend, everyone, and be safe.
Thanks, Mike.